The last time I featured an RC plane on my channel was when I pretty much just started my channel. It was definitely around this sort of time last year. Now that was actually gifted to me. I'd never actually flown a real RC plane before. I'd spent a little bit of time on simulators, but I'd never actually flown in real life. Now that ended up like this. And as you see there, things really didn't end too well for that RC plane. Now since then, I haven't bothered with any other planes up until now. This is the T-28 Trojan, and from reading all the reviews and seeing all the other videos out there, this really does look like a really good option for a beginner, and I can't wait to test it out. So let's get into today's video. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at this T-28 Trojan. Now a lot of people have said this is a really good beginner RC plane because it does have stabilisation, it's got an inbuilt gyro, there's many different settings you can choose from. It looks great, and if it performs as good as people have said, I really think this is going to be one of the very best first RC planes you can buy. Now you may be thinking this doesn't look like an Eachine box, and you're absolutely correct. This is actually the Sonic RC version. I'm pretty sure it's identical to the Eachine version, but when we get it unboxed, we'll see if there's any other changes. Now, the only reason I went for this one over the Eachine version is because it was readily available here in the UK, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly the same. So we're going to do a few different things today. We're going to get this unboxed first of all. We'll take a closer look at what we get in the box. We'll have a closer look at the plane. We'll then get the battery charged up. We'll head out. We'll give this thing its first flight. Very excited. So let's not waste any time. Let's get it unboxed and see what we get. But before we do that, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're super close to 10,000 subscribers now, guys. So let's make it happen. So let's take a look at what we get in the box with our T-28 Trojan. Now I just want to remind you, this is the Sonic RC version, and I did purchase this here in the UK from Wheelspin Models. This isn't the Eachine version that you can get from Banggood, so there may be some very minor differences, and from looking at the spec on Banggood and looking at the version I have here, I think there is only one difference, and I'm going to point that out in a moment, but we do get a black and white manual. That is quite basic, but there's enough in there to get you up and running. We've got a screwdriver, and you can use this to fit your landing gear on. They do include some screws, and I have already pre-fitted that, so I can't show you the screws. I can show you on the actual plane, but that is the reason they include a little screwdriver. We've got a spare prop, and we have got a prop saver. This is a new device. I haven't seen this before, but then again, I haven't had a huge amount of planes. I think that is going to be handy, especially if we do crash. The prop will just unclip itself, and that's going to save us in the long run. We've got a USB charger which has an output of 500 milliamps an hour, and that will get our battery charged in under an hour. Now this is where I believe this version may be a little bit different to the Eachine version. This actually comes with a 400 milliamp hour 1S battery pack, whereas the Eachine version comes with a 360 milliamp hour battery pack. Now I may be wrong, and if I am, feel free, drop a comment down below and let me know, but as far as I'm aware, that is the only real difference when it comes to comparing the two versions. Finally, we have our 4-channel transmitter, and this does feel silky smooth. The sticks do feel nice and smooth on this, and comparing it to my full-size old school DX6i, which I've had for years and years now, feels very similar, does feel silky smooth, and I think this is going to be a real delight to fly about. You've also got 3 different gyro settings for this, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the gyro in a minute, but you can adjust your settings. You can set it to beginner, intermediate or expert, and that is going to change your gyro settings, and that is going to let you adjust how much stabilisation you want and how much you want that gyro to help you when you're flying your T-28 around. So we've had a look at what we get in the box. There really is only one thing left to do, and that is to have a look at the T-28 itself. I think it looks incredible. It's also a really good price, and from reading reviews and from seeing other people's videos, a lot of people say it is one of the best beginner RC planes you can go for. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's take a look at the T-28 Trojan. Here it is then, so we finally get a chance to have a look at the plane. Now, it's very, very light. It does only have a wingspan of 40 centimetres, so it's not the biggest plane in the world, but it's still a decent size, especially for a beginner, and finding a place to actually fly this isn't going to be too hard. You're not going to need the biggest space in the world because it isn't the biggest plane in the world. My knowledge of RC planes at the moment is quite brief, so I'm not going to go into too much detail with this one. So if you do want to check out the full spec, I will leave some links in the description below for you to head over to Banggood. I'll also leave the UK link to Wheelspin Models. If you do live in the UK and you want to get one of these a little bit quicker, check this version out because it is pretty much identical to the Eachine version. But what we will do is take a look at the gyro settings. I'll give you a little idea as to how the gyro actually, how it works, what it looks like when it's in action, and then we'll get this out and we'll give it a test flight. So to give you a little idea as to how the gyro actually works and what it does, we've got the plane switched on, the transmitter switched on, and it is in the beginner setting. Now if we pick the plane up and start moving it around, you can see that the gyro is making lots of tiny little adjustments, and you imagine that is in flight. That is going to help to keep this nice and stable, and in the beginner mode that is going to give you the most assistance and the most stabilisation. So I have just switched this to intermediate mode, and you do get some gyro assistance again, as you can see, but I think it's reduced. You don't get as much, and this is going to help when it comes to performing stunts and just trying to get the hang of, you know, using this plane without any assistance, without any stabilisation, and having the gyro turned off. This takes us onto our final adjustment, which is the expert mode. Now if I pick this up and start moving it around, as you can see, the gyro is not doing anything. It's making no adjustments to the plane. And now I really wouldn't recommend that for an absolute beginner. If you're like me and you've only ever crashed planes, turning the gyro settings off probably isn't the best idea. I think the best thing to do is start from your beginner mode, which is going to give you the gyro assistance, and then slowly work your way up to expert before moving on to a slightly larger plane if that is what you want to do. So we've had a look at what we get in the box, we've had a closer look at the plane. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to get it out for its first test flight. Now it's been about a year since I've flown an RC plane, and as you see at the start of this video, that ended in disaster. Now I'm hoping today is going to be a little bit different. We are going to be trying out the various different gyro settings. I'm probably going to spend most of my time on the beginner setting, but you never know, we may move up to expert just to see how it performs and how it feels, because I do want to give you my honest opinion on this little plane. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's head out and see how it performs. Right, so it's finally time to test out this little T-28 Trojan. Now we're going to start off in beginner mode. We're going to see how we get on, and that may be it for today. You have to remember, it's been a year since I've even attempted to fly an RC plane, and when I did fly that ended up in a tree. So we're going to take it slow today. We're going to see how we get on, because I really don't want to end up in that tree again. It's up there somewhere. up in that corner. So we're going to take it slow and we'll see how we get on. So let's do it, guys. We're going to hand launch this today as well because the grass is a little bit long and this thing is tiny. I'm going to set the GoPro up, which should give you a little bit of a point of view. We're also going to stick the drone up as well. So we're going to have multiple camera angles. So hopefully we can get some good shots of this little plane in action. So guys, I do apologise. I did think I charged up my GoPro before I left the house, but unfortunately I didn't. So we're going to have to rely on the main camera and the drone for all of our footage today. It doesn't matter because we still should be able to get some really good footage of the T-28. So let's go ahead and do it. This is the first time I'm flying an RC plane in just over a year. Right, wish me luck, guys. Here we go. Oh, it's a little bit windy this evening. Wow. With that gyro set to beginner, this is insane. I haven't flown in over a year, and this thing is so smooth in the sky. Wow, I'm very impressed straight away. I mean, that is half throttle. It's a little bit windy this evening. And this little plane is flying incredibly smooth, considering. There really is something about flying an RC plane that's just, I don't know, it's just relaxing. I was speaking to my good friend Mark. You may have heard of him. He runs CM Vinyl UK. Yeah, he also has one of these, or actually I think he has the Mustang, the P51 Mustang. And he was saying how relaxing it is to fly, and that it was one of the best and easiest RC planes he's ever had. And I absolutely agree with him. Considering the size of this little thing, it flies fantastic. Now, I'd probably still advise a little bit of time on a simulator if it's possible, just because you do need to understand, you know, the basic control of flying an RC plane. And I did spend quite a few hours on an RC simulator before I took the previous plane out, and that was a 4-channel plane as well, and that definitely helped. And there's a lot of options out there now that include sort of safe technology, gyros, you know, there's a lot of options out there which will help you get going when it comes to flying RC planes. So I have just changed the camera angle there to try and give you guys another view. Like I said, it's a shame the GoPro wasn't charged. I would have liked to sort of got you guys to see what I'm seeing, but there's no point crying about it. It is what it is, and we'll potentially take this out for another flight. I can see myself doing lots of flights with this, to be fair, because it's very enjoyable. Now, I am tempted to switch to intermediate mode, which I think opens up, or reduces a little bit of the stabilisation, so you could potentially you know, pull some tighter moves with this. I don't know if that's a good move or a bad move on my part, but I do want to see what this can do on intermediate. Now, I am an absolute beginner, and it's probably not a wise idea, but the whole point of doing these videos is to test an RC out to its full potential. I don't think I'll go all the way up to expert mode because I'm more than likely going to crash it, and I really don't want to do that because this is a fantastic little plane, as you can see. And bearing in mind I haven't flown in over a year, I've managed to literally take this out of the box, charge the battery up, put some AA's in the transmitter, and sort of off I go. There was nothing else to do. I haven't even adjusted any trim settings on this, and it is flying flawlessly. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this to intermediate. I have no idea how this is going to react, but if you don't try, you'll never know. So we are in intermediate mode now. And I believe that has given us a little bit more throw potentially. Can we do some tighter turns? Yep. Intermediate has given us a little bit more control over the plane. And it does feel like the stabilisation has been wound down a little bit. It is relying on me to give it some more input. But again, still very, very easy to control. Hit a little bit of wind there. Very impressive little plane, guys, it has to be said. And again, this is the Sonic RC version, but it's pretty much identical to the Eachine version, which you can get on Banggood. And I am going to leave links for you to go and check that out. Oh, I'm super tempted to go to expert mode, but I've got a feeling we're going to crash this thing because, yeah, I'm not that experienced. I may just flick it onto expert briefly just to see what it does. I mean, there is an aerobatics button, but I'm not quite sure. I probably should have read the manual. I'm not very good at reading manuals. I'm one of those people that just goes ahead without reading anything. It's one of my downfalls, but that's just me. I think you click the button in and then you tap a direction and the plane will do a barrel roll or a loop. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. I mean, there's only one way to find out, guys, really, isn't there? And that is to try. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Wow, that was very impressive. So you click the button in, you tap left or right, or up or down on the elevator. So I did a barrel roll there, but I'm going to try doing a loop. Let's just get this away from the tree. So that was another barrel roll. Wow, that is very impressive. Yeah, guys, do you know what? This is a very impressive little plane. So I've switched back to beginner mode. It's super, super windy up there this evening. I'm going to try and land this thing, and then we'll talk about it very briefly. The good thing is we've got long grass, and we'll try and touch down on the long grass. Very impressive little plane, guys. Big fan of this. Whee! There we go then, and I have got a massive smile on my face because I had a really good successful flight with this little T-28. Now, one of the things I was worried about was crashing, and I think most people starting out with RC planes, they're all going to be thinking the same thing. Am I going to crash this? Am I going to be wasting my money? Well, I can confirm with this T-28, whether it's by Eachine or Sonic RC, you are going to have a huge amount of fun with it, and mainly due to that gyro stabilisation, it's really going to come in handy when you take it out for its first test flight. As you see in that video, I did actually switch to intermediate mode with the gyro settings, and now that actually made the plane a little bit more lively. I was able to perform some tighter turns, still very controllable and still very enjoyable. Now, I'm so impressed with this little plane, considering it only has a wingspan of 40 centimetres. It actually handled the wind really well, considering it was a windy evening. Yeah, I'm seriously impressed with this little plane. So if you're looking to get into RC planes, but you're not quite sure what to go for, well, there's a reason this thing is a top seller over on Banggood, and that is because it really is as good as they say. Now, when you read reviews or when you look on forums about RC planes, lots and lots of people who have been into RC planes for years always say, go bigger, that is going to be your best option, because having a bigger plane is going to be more stable in the sky. It's also going to be a little bit more forgiving. Now in this case, bigger isn't always better, because I've proved today that even though this thing is tiny, it is still going to be very controllable in the air and a great option. So we're going to leave the video there today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Also drop a comment down below and let me know what you think of this little T-28. Would you like to see more RC planes on the channel? And if so, what ones would you like to see? I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. This is primarily a car channel, but I'm open to the idea of doing RC planes a little bit more often. I've started to venture into RC boats a little bit as well. Very interested to hear what you guys have to say, because a lot of the time I do base my videos on what you want to see. So drop a comment down below and let me know. Cheers guys, we're going to leave it there today, and I'll see you again soon on the next one. Take care.